So where did T-Rex originate? T-Rex may have evolved in North America after all, scientists say. Hello friends, Jim here. Now, I'm fully aware that this video probably will not gain as much views as my other videos, but there's several reasons why I wanted to do this video. One, I have an interest in paleontology, so there's that. I thought this is an interesting little report here. And also, quite honestly, sometimes one just needs a little break from all the dire stuff and news that's going on out there, be it with the politics or the climate. Sometimes one just needs to step back a bit and kind of refresh the batteries. So here we go. T-Rex was previously suspected to have evolved in Asia and migrated to North America, but new research shows that the direct ancestors of this iconic dinosaur may have been the one to make the journey instead. Okay, so what do we got going on here? Of course, this is an artist's representation of T-Rex. I've seen some depictions recently that T-Rex might have actually been covered in feathers, but that's still being debated. The T-Rex may have evolved in a very different location from its direct ancestors, new research finds. The new study builds on earlier research which suggested that T-Rex ancestors arose in Asia and migrated to North America, basically Beringia, when sea levels fell, providing a land bridge between Asia and North America. The study was published in the journal Royal Society Open Science and provides more evidence that T-Rex originated what we now call North America. And its ancestors, still not quite found yet, undiscovered, arose in Asia and migrated across the ancient Earth more than 70 million years ago. T-Rex lived between 67 to 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period and could get quite large, 3.8 meters at the hips and 12 meters long. That is, the house that I built has 12-foot walls and is 48 feet in length. So basically, T-Rex would barely fit inside my house. That's big. Most T-Rex fossils have been discovered in the U.S. states of Montana and South Dakota, as well as in Alberta, Canada, an area that was once an island continent known as Laramidia that extended through parts of what is now Alaska to Mexico. Basically, it was a big inland seaway. Parts of New Mexico, if you go back to the Cretaceous, was sea line property, beachfront. T-Rex evolved from smaller members of the Tyrannosaurus lineage, and the location where the species originated has long been debated. Because T-Rex has a closer anatomical relationship with Asian Tyrannosaurid dinosaurs than it does with North American Tyrannosaurids, a 2016 study suggested that T-Rex ancestors likely emerged in Asia and migrated to North America. The new study supports this finding and suggests that T-Rex subsequently evolved in North America. Now, when they talk about the North American Tyrannosaurids, we're talking, creatures such, if I recall correctly, Carnosaurs, Albertosaurs, and a major difference that you see is, T-Rex had 2 digits on its front arms, whereas Albertosaurus had 3, also longer in length compared to the T-Rex in proportion to its body. So there are certainly anatomical differences. There might be some differences with the skull and so forth. The geographic origin of T-Rex is the subject of a hot debate, and paleontologists have been debating whether the ancestor came from Asia or North America. The lead author of the study, Cassius Morrison, who is a doctoral student at University College London, said in a statement, "Our modeling suggests the quote-unquote grandparents of T-Rex likely came to North America from Asia, crossing the Bering Strait between what is now Siberia and Alaska." Okay, there was no Bering Strait. It was all connected. We call that Beringia. In today's planet, yeah, there's a waterway there we call the Bering Strait, but keep in mind that was all land. In fact, years ago, the Arctic Ocean was basically just a big lake. The researchers used a model based on where and when various Tyrannosaurus species have been discovered, their evolutionary trees, and local climate. What they're basically talking about is they're constructing what are called cladograms, using clades or cladistic analyses, where you look at common features to find a branch-off point back in time, and then you can pinpoint ancestors. So they found that T-Rex fossils were widely dispersed in Laramidia, and the ancestor T-Rex were present in both Asia and Laramidia, indicating that T-Rex ancestors likely migrated from Asia to North America before giving rise to T-Rex proper, if you will. And this migration likely took place between the late Campanian and the early Maastrichtian ages, about 72 million years ago. This is in line with past research finding that T-Rex is more closely related to Asian cousins such as Tarbosaurus and then to North American relatives such as Daspletosaurus. Dozens of T-Rex fossils have been unearthed in North America, but our findings indicate that the fossil T-Rex direct ancestors may lie undiscovered still in Asia. Stephen Broussard, who is a paleontologist at the University of Edinburgh and a co-author of the 2016 study on T-Rex's roots, called the new study a fine scholarly work. T-Rex was the quintessential American dinosaur, big, bold, ferocious, the ruler of Western North America during the final years of the Cretaceous. It was actually an immigrant. The most iconic American dinosaur was a migrant from Asia. That's pretty funny, actually. The new study also modeled how Tyrannosaurids, of which T-Rex is a member, and Megaraptors, which is a cousin lineage to the Tyrannosaurids, grew to such huge gargantuan sizes. They found that Megaraptors, which could grow to lengths about 33 feet, evolved their large size around the same time as Tyrannosaurids. The researchers suggest that both groups rapidly evolved much larger body sizes than their ancestors following a global temperature peak 92 million years ago. This warming event, known as the Cretaceous Thermal Maximum, CTM, was caused by a spike in atmospheric CO2 and methane as a result of volcanic and tectonic activity, during which sea surface temperatures in some tropical regions may have reached 35 degrees Celsius. That's rather warm. After the CTM, atmospheric greenhouse gas levels and global temperatures fell. The researchers think that Tyrannosaurids and Megaraptors may have been able to survive and thrive better than other groups of dinosaurs. This is because other large species of dinosaurs went extinct due to the falling temperatures, leaving an open niche for Tyrannosaurids and Megaraptors to fill and grow to much greater sizes. Well, recall that in the Jurassic era, that's when you had the huge sauropods like the Apatosaurus, Diplodocus, right, those kind of critters there. It was also warm, but oxygen levels were like about 28%. So today, oxygen levels are under 20%. So there's been a decrease in oxygen levels. So if you have that high of an oxygen level, that can really fuel high metabolic rates. And that can allow organisms to get to large size. Another thing to think about is there is increasing evidence that the raptors and the Tyrannosaurus and so on were homeotherms. So that means they could maintain a constant body temperature. Now, one would think that that requires a higher metabolic rate, requires more energy input, and with falling temperatures, they would be able, because they can generate internal body heat, they could handle it better versus poikilotherms, who are organisms whose body temperatures reflect ambient temperatures. So as it cools down, their metabolism can cool down, and they probably will not survive as well. So those are other factors, which led to, we now see that the thinking would, for example, velociraptors, that they're covered in feathers. And we now know the feathers evolved for flight, but the initial purpose, most likely, thermal regulation. Insulating the body, help keep a core temperature the same. So homeothermy may have assisted these organisms in surviving. Our findings have shined a light on how the largest tyrannosaurs appeared in North and South America during the Cretaceous, and how and why they grew so large by the end of the age of dinosaurs. Study co-author Charlie Scherer, a master's graduate from UCL, who soon to be a doctoral student, said in the statement. They likely grew to such gigantic sizes to replace the equally giant Carcharodontosaurid theropods that went extinct about 90 million years ago. This extinction likely removed the ecological barrier that prevented Tyrannosaurus from growing to such sizes. The new study shows how climate affected even the largest and most dominant dinosaurs, Broussard said. It seems that Tyrannosaurs were able to get big multiple times independently when cooler climates promoted increases in size. It was easier to be big when temperatures were cool. First of all, the larger you are, the smaller the surface area to volume ratio is. So in the case of the sauropods, they may not have been necessarily homeotherms per se, but due to their massive bulk, that kept them warm. So, he concludes that the king of dinosaurs were not predestined to rule, but helped along by the climate. So it's interesting. Seeing here's another artist depiction of Cretaceous life. But it's just you find some new fossils. Sometimes you just revisit specimens already sitting in museum drawers and reanalyze it. By the way, that's how a lot of paleontological discoveries are found nowadays. Go back into the storage of museums and see what they've got hidden away. Go through the drawers. So it's very likely that the final form of T-Rex did emerge in North America, but his ancestors likely came over across Beringia some 70-something million years ago. So there you have it. T-Rex is most likely a North American creature. And there you have it. So I said I wanted to do something a little different, kind of little, not as so somber and distressing with the news, and just share some interesting paleontological findings. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this and found this informative, and we'll talk soon.